You know that feeling? The charisma, the vision, the way he makes you feel like you're the only person in the room who truly gets the mission. It's less like a job interview and more like being inducted into a secret society. You walk out of that office thinking, finally, I've found a leader worth following. But then, 6 months later, you're sitting in your car in the parking lot, hands trembling, dreading the moment you have to step through those glass doors. You start questioning your sanity. You wonder if you're the problem. You feel drained, empty, and constantly on edge with anxiety. What changed? Nothing really changed. You just finally peeked behind the mask. You've encountered the corporate narcissist. Here's a terrifying statistic to jolt you awake. While only about 5% of the general population shows clinical narcissistic traits, that number explodes to nearly 20% among CEOs and upper management. And here's the real kicker. Research shows that 75% of diagnosed narcissists are men. This isn't some random coincidence. The modern corporate world, with its focus on dominance, ruthlessness, and chasing external validation, is basically a custom-built playground for narcissistic personalities. But why is this so dangerous? Because unlike a tough boss who just lacks people skills, a narcissistic leader doesn't see you as a human being. To them, you're an object, a mirror, your sole purpose, to reflect their own greatness back at them. The instant you stop reflecting that perfection, or worse, the moment you highlight a flaw, you become the enemy. If you're listening to this, chances are you're already caught in their web. You feel like you're walking on eggshells every single day. But listen, you're not crazy, you're being manipulated. In the next 10 minutes, we're going to dismantle the psychology of the narcissistic boss. We'll dive into the neuroscience behind their shocking lack of empathy, uncover why they zero in on high performers like you, and most importantly, I'll arm you with the gray rock method, the ultimate psychological defense that can salvage your career and your sanity without forcing you to quit. We're stepping into the hall of mirrors. Let's shatter some glass. Let's rewind to that first day, the honeymoon phase. In psychology, we call this love bombing, and it's not just for romantic entanglements. It plays out in the boardroom too. I remember my own run-in with a boss like this. Let's call him David. David didn't just hire me, he professionally seduced me. He painted the company as stagnant, overrun with B players, and declared he needed a rock star like me to ignite real change. Do you see the trap he set? By elevating me, he isolated me. He forged this us versus them bond. That's the first snare. The narcissist recruits you not as a true partner, but as an extension of their ego, a prop. At this stage, you're type 1 in their twisted funnel, the golden child. You're buzzing with dopamine, feeling special. You pull late nights not out of obligation, but because you crave pleasing this so-called visionary. But then, the inevitable shift hits. Maybe you tossed out a suggestion in a meeting that wasn't his brainchild. Or perhaps a client showered you with praise that didn't loop him in. Suddenly, the room turns ice cold. The compliments dry up. Emails turn sharp and curt. You've slipped into the devaluation phase. Here's the neuroscience powering that chilling shift. A narcissist's self-esteem isn't like yours. Yours is probably rooted internally, in your values and real achievements. Theirs, it's entirely external. Picture it as a bucket with a gaping hole at the bottom. No matter how much praise or success you dump in, it leaks right out. They crave a non-stop flow of what experts call narcissistic supply. That's admiration, attention, and even fear. When you challenge them, even accidentally, you sever that supply. You're no longer the flawless mirror reflecting their perfection. You're a cracked one showing imperfections. And a narcissist, they'd rather smash the mirror than patch the crack. This leads us to an uncomfortable truth about gender dynamics in the workplace. We can't ignore the data. Research consistently reveals that narcissistic personality disorder is far more common in men, making up about 75% of diagnoses. But why? Is it purely biological? Partly, sure, but it's mostly cultural. In the corporate arena, traits like aggression, zero empathy, and over-the-top grandiosity get rebranded as strong leadership, decisiveness, and unshakable confidence. A female boss showing these might get slapped with labels like emotional or difficult, but a male boss, he's hailed as a shark. We've engineered a system that rewards the exact pathology that dismantles teams. Narcissists climb to the top because they're wizards at impression management. They ace interviews, promise the stars, but they utterly lack the empathy to nurture a team. And that lack of empathy, it's no mere quirk, it's a genuine neurological shortfall. Brain scans reveal that people with high narcissistic traits have reduced gray matter in the left anterior insula, the brain region tied to emotional empathy. This is vital for you to grasp. When your boss publicly humiliates you in a meeting, you head home replaying it over and over, agonizing. How could he say that? Doesn't he realize how much it hurts? The answer is bone-chilling. He knows, cognitively, he gets it. But he doesn't feel your pain. In fact, your visible distress might even calm him. It reinforces his power, proving he's the alpha in the hierarchy. This spirals us into the most exhausting phase, the cycle of abuse. You've now become type 2, the scapegoat. You catch yourself working harder than ever, desperate to reclaim that golden child glow. You think, if I just nail this project perfectly, he'll be nice again. This is the same sneaky mechanism that powers slot machines, intermittent reinforcement. If the machine never paid out, you'd walk away. If it always did, you'd lose interest. But those random payouts, a rare smile here, a fleeting compliment there, followed by days of icy silence, keep you hooked. You're addicted to the slim chance of his approval. They'll deploy gaslighting to keep you off balance, denying things they clearly said, shifting goalposts on a whim. I didn't ask for a summary. I wanted a detailed report, they'll claim, even when your email inbox proves otherwise. This plunges your brain into cognitive dissonance. You start doubting your own reality. Your cortisol levels, that relentless stress hormone, stay chronically elevated. You're trapped in a perpetual fight or flight mode, but since you're chained to a desk, you freeze instead. We call this functional freeze. You're wiped out, brain-fogged, and riddled with anxiety, yet you can't break free. So why don't we just quit? Because the narcissist has masterfully convinced you that you're lucky to even be there. They've chipped away at your confidence so relentlessly that you start believing you're unemployable anywhere else. They've isolated you from your colleagues by playing favorites, fostering a toxic culture of paranoia where no one dares whisper, "Hey, is the boss losing it? Or is it just me?" But here's the twist, the secret they desperately don't want you to uncover. It strips them of their power. While they come across as energy vampires draining the life from every room, they're actually the ones starving. You, the empathetic, high-performing employee, you're the true source. They're dependent on you. Deep down, they're terrified of you. At their core, the narcissist isn't the mighty lion. They're a scared child masquerading in a lion's costume. Their grandiosity is just a fragile shield against a profound, crushing shame. They lash out at you not because you're weak, but because you're strong. You possess what they'll never have: authentic connections, real talent, and the capacity to truly feel. So how do you navigate a predator who's also signing your performance reviews? How do you survive the vampire without turning into one yourself? You don't fight fire with fire. You don't try to out-scheme the schemer. Instead, you do something far more ordinary and infinitely more powerful. Enter your survival toolkit, the Gray Rock Method. The concept is straightforward, yet it goes against every instinct. Normally, when someone attacks us or questions our competence, we rush to defend, explain, or prove them wrong. We crave showing them the truth. But remember, the narcissist couldn't care less about truth. They thrive on reaction. Your defense becomes their fuel. Your anger, their entertainment. Your tears, proof of their dominance. To beat them, you transform into a gray rock, the most dull, unremarkable object in the room. What does this look like in action? In a meeting, if your boss snipes at your presentation style, don't get defensive or apologize endlessly. Just nod calmly and say, "I see." When they fire off a passive-aggressive email at 10 p.m. demanding an explanation for some imagined error, skip the 3-paragraph rebuttal. Reply the next morning with something simple: "Received. We'll review." You starve them of the emotional outburst they're hungry for. Respond with facts, not feelings. Stick to the basics, logistics only. Become a neutral, monotone observer. Drain the drama right out of the interaction. Fair warning, when you first adopt this, things might intensify before they improve. Psychologists term this an extinction burst. It's like a toddler ramping up a tantrum when you stop giving in to candy demands. They scream louder just before surrendering. Your boss could escalate the aggression, probing for that old reaction because their usual tactics are failing. Stay firm. Hold the line. Once they realize the narcissistic supply has truly vanished, they'll lose interest. They'll hunt for a fresh target. And you'll finally taste peace. But remember, gray rock is a shield, not a miracle cure. You can't fully heal in the toxic environment that poisoned you in the first place. You need to recognize this isn't just a bad job. It's impacting your brain. Long-term exposure to narcissistic abuse literally rewires your neural pathways. It bulks up your amygdala, locking you in constant fear, and shrinks your hippocampus, messing with your memory and focus. You're not merely tired, you're wounded. So quit chasing the perfect employee illusion to win over a boss who's wired for endless dissatisfaction. Stop trying to fix them with your empathy. You can't love a narcissist into decency, and you sure as hell can't outwork a personality disorder. Your worth never hinged on their approval. It never did. The mirror they dangled in front of you was a distorted funhouse version, warped to inflate their ego and shrink yours. Shatter that mirror. Take a hard look at your career right now. Are you building a meaningful future, or just babysitting someone else's fragile ego? If you've been nodding along, feeling that familiar knot twisting in your stomach because this hits way too close to home, then we need to talk about what comes next. Spotting the narcissist is just stage 1. Stage 2? Unraveling the psychological programming they've embedded in your mind. In the next video, I'll expose the subconscious sabotage patterns that keep drawing toxic bosses into your life, even after you escape this one. It's a trap that snares 90% of people without them even noticing. You don't want to leap from the frying pan straight into the fire. Make sure you're subscribed and notifications are on. You deserve to hear what's next. Don't let them win. See you on the other side.